Base camp, this is Hunter 2-1 actual. Still no sign of any feral activity over, or Dingo 2. This is base camp, copy that. ISR's got you cleared as well. Mike lowered his hand from the radio and turned to us. Let's keep moving. We got to locate Dingo 2. I nodded and gestured to the rest of the team to keep moving. Things have changed since our last op. Our ODA was temporarily disbanded, with a lot of us either retiring or being reassigned to other teams. Mike, KJ and I were reassigned to a special task force created for counter-feral operations. Codenamed Hunter, we were now a classified provisional unit that would deploy anywhere in the United States to take down the ferals wherever they showed up. Over the past several months, we've deployed to Wyoming, Florida, California, and Arizona. But this time, we weren't in the United States at all. About a few weeks ago, our squad, Hunter 2-1, was deployed to Australia for a joint training operation with Australia's Special Air Service Regiment, who was also going through a cryptid problem. Over the past couple of months, the Australian Outback had experienced a rise in activity, including what they believed to be feral people, similar to the creatures we dealt with in the United States. Hunter 2's commanding officer, Kirk, sent our squad to Australia to assist the Aussies Special Operations Unit, codenamed Dingo. By the time we got there, Dingo had already lost a few guys on ops and were more than accepting of our help if it meant they could kill these things easier. That led to now where Hunter, 2-1 and Dingo had gone out to track a pack of ferals that had killed a handful of civilians who were backpacking out there. Our squad consisted of 7 people: Mike Brandt, our team sergeant from my previous ODA on 3rd Group, Daniel Villanueva, a SEAL from DevGru, Joel Mann, a Delta operator, Angel Ramirez, a MARSOC Marine, myself, Luke Roman, a Green Beret who served with Kirk and Mike, Kyle James, KJ Hood, who served on our ODA, Richard Payne, an Army Ranger from the Regimental Reconnaissance Company. KJ and I were machine gunners and Payne was our sniper. Coming with us was Dingo 1, led by Captain Tom Murch and consisting of about 14 guys. Currently we lost contact with Dingo 2, the second team that was with us, and were now trying to push to their last known location. Dingo 2 actual, this is Hunter 2-1, what's your POS? Over? There was no response. Mike turned to Captain Murch, who spoke on his radio. Dingo 2 actual, this is Dingo 1, do you copy? Still no response. Murch sighed. Fuck. Payne, you got eyes on anything? Negative, I got nothing. I scanned the terrain in front of me through my NVGs, but didn't see any sign of any animals or cryptids. Hold here, hissed Mike. Our unit stopped and took a knee. What do you got? Villanueva whispered. Mike took aim through his HK-416, but didn't answer at first. Then he said, I got movement, 1 o'clock. Something's behind the bushes over there. Then I grabbed my MK-48 Mod 0 and got ready. Up ahead, I could see a pair of small lights hovering near some bushes. Just like Mike said, Mike fired a couple of rounds and we heard a loud squeal, just like the sounds the ferals back home did. There's one, man said. Move up, Murch, hold your men here. Roger that. Our squad pushed up towards the body to confirm it was a feral. The creature was a lean humanoid with an animal skull on its head, a loincloth sewn out of something we couldn't make out, with a spear in its right hand. That's a feral all right, said KJ. Ramirez cautiously turned over the body, showing strange markings on its back and shoulders. Are those tattoos? I asked. Ramirez shrugged. Could be. Doesn't look like anything I've seen. They look tribal, pointed out Man. Not that I know what that really looks like, of course. Have any other ferals had these? KJ asked. Mike shook his head. Not that we know of. Usually we never get this close to look at them. Mike got on comms. Base camp, this is Hunter 2-1 actual. We got a dead feral over here. We got some markings on this thing that you may want to take a look at. Copy 2-1, send an image. Roger that. Ramirez, get an image of the feral's markings. Ramirez pulled out his small camera and took a picture. Base camp, we're sending an image your way. As Ramirez went to send it, the feral suddenly came screeching to life. "Oh shit!" Ramirez yelled, staggering back. The feral let out a howl into the night sky, echoing for miles. Mike put several more rounds into it, and it fell silent. "Is it dead?" asked Man. Mike stepped back. "Luke, blast 'em." I raised the MK-48 and fired a quick burst, tearing through the skull, splitting open its head. Definitely dead now. Suddenly we heard gunfire behind us where Dingo 1 was positioned. "Hunter 2-1, this is Payne. Dingo 1 is taking heavy contact from multiple ferals. I count 10 plus. It looks like they were in covered positions." "Son of a bitch!" growled Mike. "Copy that, we're doubling back." He turned to us. "Let's move." We ran back, where we could see gunfire lighting up the sky, along with a couple of explosions from grenades shaking the ground. "How did we miss them?" asked Villanueva. "They must have camouflaged themselves somehow," answered Mike. "Probably why ISR didn't pick them up. It was a fucking trap." "Incoming!" KJ shouted. I looked up to see a flurry of arrows and spears soaring through the air on our position. We took cover, the projectiles whizzing past us. Somehow, by sheer luck, nothing hit us. We turned to see even more ferals emerging from hiding spots in the ground and in the trees. They were carrying bow and arrows as well as various other weapons. I could see some of them wearing vegetation on their bodies, almost like ghillie suits. I immediately began firing, laying down suppressive fire with KJ. This gave the rest of them enough time to move out of the line of fire. In the distance, I could hear the cracks of Payne's sniper rifle going off, and through my NVGs I saw at least 3 crumpled to the ground with headshots. "Reloading!" I called out, setting my weapon down to reload it. I removed the empty belt box and replaced it with another one, just as an arrow struck me in the helmet. I fell backwards just as another one flew over my head. "Luke," shouted KJ, "you good?" "Yeah, just got my helmet." I rose to my feet and picked up my weapon. "All right, we gotta move." We rushed back to where Mike and the others were, the bodies of at least 2 ferals laying around them. The ferals, just like the other one, had markings on their back and shoulders with animal skulls, albeit a little bit different than the other one. Suddenly there was a loud howl, even louder than the screech let out by the first one that we killed. Things fell silent, and suddenly through our night vision, the ferals retreated back into the darkness. "Well, that's rare," Ramirez said. "They never do that." "Come on, let's rejoin Dingo." When we got back, the team was in pieces. We counted 2 KIAs and 5 wounded. "Fuck," snapped Murch. "Bugger's got us good, just came out of the fucking ground." Ferals like to camouflage. Sometimes if they know a military presence is in the area, they'll set up ambush points like these, explained Mike, taking a look at the scene around us. "Base camp, this is Hunter 2-1 actual. We've got multiple casualties from Dingo. Requesting CASEVAC. Over." Copy 2-1. Be advised, CASEVAC is about 30 mics out. That'll slow you guys down. Are you cleared to continue the mission? Mike turned to the rest of us. CASEVAC is 30 mics out. Base camp wants to know if we're able to continue. "We're good," said Villanueva, which we all nodded in agreement to. "Captain, are you guys still in the fight?" Murch nodded. "Yeah, mate, we're good to go." "All right, here's what we'll do. 2 men will stay with the wounded. The rest of us will proceed to Dingo 2. "I'll stay," said KJ. "I'll stay too," said Man. "I'll coordinate for Cassivac." Mike nodded. "All right, everyone else, on me. Payne, you too." Once Payne came back down from his position, we moved on. KJ and Man remained with the casualties, and in the meantime, we were still unable to reach Dingo 2. We soon began making our way through thicker brush, with the trees blocking the moonlight. "Dingo 2, actual, come in."
"Dingo 2, actual, are you there?" Ramirez called on the radio for the 100th time. "Look, I don't want to be that guy here," said Payne, "but I think it is safe to say that Dingo 2 might not be in the best of conditions." Murch glared at Payne, who just shrugged. "What, it's true? No contact with an entire platoon for how long now? Seems to me like they're fucked." "Enough, Jack," said Mike. "Until we prove otherwise, Dingo 2 is active and in trouble. No man gets left behind." After we walked a little further, we heard a loud roar, one that shook even the trees. "What the hell?" I exclaimed softly. "Was that a feral?" asked Ramirez. I looked at Murch, who, along with the rest of his men, were now tense. "No, mate, that ain't a feral." "Then what is it?" I asked. "Ferals ain't the only creature out here, mate," said Murch. "We need to stay sharp." "What other creatures are there?" asked Villanueva. We froze again as another roar echoed in the distance, this time a little bit closer.
"Out here, it would be the Yowie," answered Murch. "The fuck is the Yowie?" "It's like your Bigfoot, about 3 meters tall, ape-like, aggressive buggers. If the ferals are in the same territory as the Yowie, we may be looking at a turf war out here." "Well, that's just great," Villanueva muttered. "Hunter 2-1, this is base camp. Be advised we're picking up massive signatures at your 3 o'clock, about 20 clicks out and closing in fast." "Solid copy, base camp." The roaring grew louder, and this time we heard heavy thudding, and the trees began shifting, with branches snapping. "We got incoming, boys," Payne said. A few seconds later, a trio of massive, muscular, ape-like creatures broke through the tree line with a terrifying speed and aggression. I let loose with my MK-48, but that barely stopped them as they ran right through us. One of the Aussies got swatted like a fly, sending him flying against a tree with a sickening crack. "Aim for the head and upper body," shouted Murch as we laid down intense fire. One of the Yowies roared and flung a large branch at us. I ducked and moved back as the same Yowie came back at us. "Firing!" shouted Ramirez as a 40mm grenade impacted its chest. The Yowie howled and fell back. A large, smoking hole in the right side. It fell back, dead as the other two picked up Villanueva. I aimed for its lower body, firing the last of the rounds from the belt. The Yowie fell to its knees and turned to me angrily, tossing him aside. "Shit!" I removed the empty belt box and tried to grab another one, but the Yowie was rushing me faster than I could pull the belt box out. A single round struck its head, taking out one of its eyes. It fell back, roaring in pain. I looked to see Payne firing another round from his SR-25. I took the opportunity and reloaded, leaving me with only one belt box left. The Yowie was finished off by another round to the dome. The last one retreated back into the woods, but not before letting out one more roar before retreating back into the forest. "Base camp, we just dropped 2 cryptids. Aussies are calling them the Yowie. Any more of them on ISR?" "Negative 2-1. It looked like it could be a scouting party."
This is KJ. All casualties have been successfully evacuated. Negative contact with ferals. Copy that, KJ. Mike sighed. Down to 12 men. 11, said one of the Aussies, kneeling next to one of their fallen. We lost Pope. Mike went back to comms. Base camp, be advised, we have another casualty. Securing him for evac now. Mike, I said, we need to turn around. The Aussies are down a platoon and a half. KJ and Joel are going back to base. It could be a while before they get back. I say we call it quits. He's right, man, said Ramirez. We're outgunned. If you ask me, it was a mistake for command to split our teams up. Dingo 2 should have stayed with us from the start. Like hell we're turning back, snapped Murch. Those are my men out there. We aren't leaving without at least retrieving their bodies. Mike looked down as he tried to make a decision. The way I see it, said Villanueva, we call for evac, we get out of here and come back with a bigger force. That way we'll be prepared for both the Yowie and the ferals. Mike looked at us. How are we on ammo? I'm low, I answered, but Ramirez should have some extra ammo. I got enough for now, said Ramirez. Same, said Villanueva. So do I, said Payne, switching to his M4A1. Mike turned to Captain Murch and his men, who said the same thing. Oh, we got more than enough, mate, said Murch. We're not leaving until we at least get the tags of Dingo 2. Mike nodded. All right, here's what we'll do. We'll continue searching for the second team for a little bit longer. If we're too deep into enemy territory and we still haven't found them, we'll request exfil and come back with a bigger strike force. Sounds good to us, said Murch, to which his men nodded in agreement. Mike looked at the rest of us, who shrugged. All right, I sighed. Let's do this. We continued moving, and our team began sweeping the woods once again, walking near a river. Hey, check this, said Ramirez. He had his NVGs up and was using his tactical flashlight. I raised mine and went white light as well. It was blood that trickled further down. We got blood, I called, and the others gathered around. Let's follow it. Move upstream. It could lead us to them. We followed the blood in the water further upstream, and soon we saw what looked like bodies come into view. Got something up ahead. Base camp, are you seeing this? Affirmative, 2-1. The bodies were a mix of humans and ferals. The men of Dingo 2 lay sprawled by the riverside, having been ripped to shreds. I knelt down to inspect one of the SAS men who was missing his legs and had a spear in his chest. I pulled the tags off the man. Staff Sergeant Patrick Williams. We pulled the tags off of all the men we found, which was about 10 in total. 4 men were missing, though we suspected they were dead when we found the head of one of them laying further away. Mike and Villanueva were inspecting the bodies of the ferals. Looks like they were ambushed, I heard him say. Both groups were engaging and they came through and killed them all. You mean the Yowie? I asked. Mike nodded. As he leaned closer, the feral suddenly came to life. Its wild eyes glowed even brighter without the skull on its head, and it screamed in its face, choking Mike with its bare hands. Villanueva pulled his pistol and shot it in the head. Another feral attacked me as well, rising from the ground and jumping on me. I held its jaws back, desperate to keep it from tearing my throat out.
I wrestled it to the ground, striking it in the face. I pulled out my pistol and fired 3 rounds into its head. Damned ferals were playing dead, using the bodies of their dead to hide and have us let our guard down. We opened fire at the ferals as the surviving ones picked up some weapons, but we outnumbered them and we dropped them. Okay, we gotta move, said Mike. Base camp, this is Hunter 2-1 actual. We've located Dingo 2, 0 survivors. We engaged a pack of ferals, requesting immediate evac. Over. Roger that 2-1. Evac is inbound to a clearing about 15 clicks south of your position. Proceed there and hold position. Over. Copy that, base camp. Moving to clearing. Over. The familiar roaring of the yowie echoed into the night sky, once again causing the trees to shake. "Run!" shouted Mike. We began booking it in formation, with myself and one of the Aussies, Sergeant Cameron Smith, laid down fire with the machine guns.
Smith went prone and covered us with his FN Minime as a small pack of yowie chased us, carrying rocks and spears that they made themselves. One of the yowies went down, but the rest ducked for cover behind the trees, using them for cover. "Move!" I shouted, standing up and following the others. Smith picked up his Minime and followed me. Payne and Ramirez covered us with their M4A1s. We could feel the yowies hot on our trail, their grunts and growls getting closer. I heard Payne scream and turned to see the yowie grabbing him and tearing him in half, his blood and guts pouring onto its mouth and upper body. "Fuck!" We finally made it to the clearing and dug in. "We lost Payne!" Motherfuckers. The yowies also dug in, and we continued firing, focused on pinning the creatures down rather than taking them out like the ferals. Even through our night vision, it was difficult to see them. They used the trees effectively, blending in with the night and moving low with the shadows. While the tracer rounds briefly illuminated them, it wasn't enough. "Base camp, this is Hunter 2-1. We are surrounded by cryptids. Where the hell is our evac?" "Hunter 2-1, they are inbound. QRF is in tow to pull you guys out. Just hang in there." "Hang in there," she says, shouted Ramirez sarcastically. A rock the size of a basketball whizzed through the air and decapitated Captain Murch, leaving only his body and a bloody stump where his head once was. "Shit! Take cover!" Rocks flew overhead like bullets and struck like cannonballs. "Goddamn!" I yelled, taking cover. "Well, boys, I think this is it," said Villanueva. "Like hell it is," snapped Mike. We briefly raised our heads and saw the looming figures of the yowie getting closer. I fired a short burst from the MK-48, and one of the creatures flinched and fell to its knees. Their glowing yellow eyes bore through us, filled with murderous intent to tear us to shreds. The yowie let out a collective roar, almost that of victory. They knew they had us cornered. We looked around and saw more figures appearing around us. It looked like it really was over. Suddenly bullets came from the air and tore some of them to shreds. "Look!" shouted Ramirez. I looked up and saw the glorious sight of our QRF arriving to pick us up. Machine gun fire from the blackbirds rained down a hailstorm of bullets that forced the yowie to retreat. Several of the birds landed, and the other members of Dingo got out and laid down cover fire while we climbed in. KJ and Matt were waiting for us when we climbed in. "You didn't think we'd stay behind, did you?" KJ said with a grin. "Never thought that for a second," replied Mike, shaking KJ's hand. "Where's Richie?" asked Man. I looked at him and shook my head. "Gone. Fucking things ripped him in half." Man and KJ's grins faded, and we fell silent on the way back. When we landed, the KIAs were already in body bags, and our wounded were being treated by medical teams. The other members of Dingo were also back at base, a demoralizing look on all their faces. Kirk and one of our logistics specialists, Maya Flores, were talking to an Australian officer. "Oh great, cake eaters already on this one," said Villanueva. We set our stuff down as the reality of our situation sunk in. We lost Payne and over a dozen Australian commandos, An entire platoon was gone, putting them down to only 2 teams. Kirk walked back over to us. "Gentlemen, sorry about Richie. You boys took a hell of a hit out there." We said nothing. "We've been called back. They need us back in the States. California's got a major feral population that we're preparing to take down." "Just like that, huh?" I scoffed. "All of this, and we can't even finish the job here." Kirk shook his head. "I know it's bullshit, especially with the intel you've provided. We have reason to believe that a new tribe of ferals is emerging in Australia and are currently in conflict with the Yowie, a Sasquatch species that also lives in this area. It's believed that there is a turf war between these creatures." "So we're not doing anything about it?" asked Villanueva. "We spent all this time training these guys and we just went through hell with them, and now what, we're just leaving, saying, 'Fuck you, we're out'?" Again, I don't like it either. It's just how it is. When we dispersed, I walked over to a commando who was standing over the 2 KIAs. "I'm sorry, man," I said. The commando nodded. "It's all bullshit. We had warned Command even prior to your arrival that the cryptid problem was getting worse, but rather than give us more gear and manpower, they just told us to train better, figure it out on our own." I shook my head. "You're right. It is bullshit. Damned cake-eaters telling us how to fight things that they've never fought themselves. War never changes, I guess. The truth is, if the fucking government led us, we could take these things down no problem. It makes you wonder, why won't they let us?" As he walked over to join the rest of Dingo, I thought the same thing. Why wouldn't they let us just end the threat? But then I remembered what Kirk had told me a while ago. It's above our fucking pay grades. It's late October and I'm stuck in this dead-end job at Marty's Video Rentals. Halloween's coming, so the place is crawling with people who think they know horror. They don't. They rent the same tired slashers, the same monsters that never change, never learn. Outside, the streets are strewn with brittle leaves, the air heavy with pumpkin spice. Everyone says it smells like home. To me, it's sweet enough to make you gag if you breathe too deep. Work here long enough and you start to learn people's habits. The guy who swears he lives for slashers, but every Friday walks out with the same soft rom-com, fraud, fake, makes my skin crawl. And the so-called true horror fans, I know you better than you think. I watch you drift down the aisles, pretending you're hunting for something rare, something challenging. You're not. You always end up clutching the same 5 titles like a child with their favorite blanket.
I don't just remember what you rent. I remember when you come in, who you're with, the way you hesitate in the horror aisle before grabbing your usual picks. Little details nobody thinks matter, but they do. They always do. Tonight's unlucky customer, the one stuck with my awkward, half-remembered attempts at conversation, is a girl from just a few blocks away. She used to ride her bike past my parents' house back when things were simpler, less messy. Her name's Emily. I know because her name is scrawled in neat handwriting on the rental card. She slides across the counter every Tuesday without fail. She drifts through the aisles like she's chasing something invisible, though I doubt she knows what it is. I step out from behind the counter, forcing a smile that feels like a mask stretched too tight. "Looking for something scary tonight?" I ask, eyes fixed on the way her fingers twitch against the shelf. She wasn't expecting me not tonight.
Her eyes flicker with hesitation, caught between wanting to answer and wanting to disappear. "You've got that look," my voice dropping just low enough to feel like a warning, the kind that already knows what's coming. She swallows hard, forcing out a nervous laugh. but I catch the tremor beneath it, the fear she tries to hide. Most people think they're good at hiding. They're not. Not from me. She's the first one in a long time to react like this. Most are obvious or too polite to be interesting. I've even made a few acquaintances, if you want to call them that. But Emily, she sees something in me that others don't, and that unsettles me. I've spent years watching people drift through these aisles, each one a potential story, a puzzle I felt compelled to solve. At first, it was harmless enough. Curiosity. What movies did they choose? How did they move, speak, breathe? But curiosity rots if you let it sit too long. Mine festered into something else, something sharper.
I learned their routines, their tics. The way one man always bought candy before picking a horror flick he'd seen 100 times. The way a woman's eyes darted to the door every time it chimed, like she expected someone to follow her in. Most were disappointments. Loud claims about loving slashers betrayed by rentals of soft romances and safe dramas. Some were rude, some were forgettable. None of them were worth what I gave them. And yet I followed them. Quietly. From the glow of the store lights to the shadow of their doorsteps. I wanted to see what lived under their masks, what they hid when the curtains were drawn. One by one, some stopped showing up, vanished as if the ground had swallowed them. Their families still come in sometimes, holding themselves together just enough to rent a movie or two. They smile politely. I smile back. We talk about nothing at all. They have no idea the past doesn't go anywhere. It lingers in the hum of the televisions, in the faded covers of old tapes. It watches, waits, and now Emily's here. But let's leave the past where it belongs. It's what's in front of me that matters now. Emily, she's different, enough of a challenge to make things interesting. That excites me. Maybe I should give her something special, something that doesn't just put her on the edge of her seat, but pushes her clean off it. I reach for a blank VHS from the bottom shelf, the kind most people wouldn't even notice. This one's special, my voice steady. Her eyes flicker not just with fear of what might be on the tape, but of me. She takes it anyway, trying to pass it off as politeness. But I see it, that tiny spark of curiosity, the part of her that wants to know what she shouldn't. This one will do more than scare her. It'll make her think about who handed it to her. That's the point.
It'll make the cold night easier to bear when I am outside, waiting in the dark, letting the wind bite at my face. It'll be worth it in the end, and maybe, if things go just right, I'll meet her family someday.